The day is August 25th, 2022. Now, you're probably wondering, why is this such an important and special day for me? Well, today is the day of my granddad's birthday. Um, and I just want to take this video to say thank you to him and for everything that he's done for me. It really means a lot to have somebody in your life that encourages you and inspires you to do better and become a better person in your life. I think that's a great thing to have someone there like that. And my granddad, he was that person. He was born in 1940, 82 years old. He would have been 82 years old this year. He's done a lot. He's had a long life. He was in the military. He was in the Marine Corps. He would always tell me about that. And then, he moved to New York and he was like a cab driver at one time, and then he worked at the hospital. Shout out to New York, shout out to the Bronx. And then, he moved down to Atlanta. Shout out to ATL, shout out to Atlanta, shout out to Stockbridge, Georgia. And yeah, my granddad, he inspired me in a lot of ways to become who I am today. To, learn that, even though you may feel like in this world you don't have anybody to look up to, you can always look up to yourself and be your own role model and just be independent. You don't have to depend on anybody to do anything. And that's the kind of man my granddad was. He was very independent. He didn't have to depend on anybody to do anything. He knew how to cook, he knew how to clean, he knew how to take care of himself. And, it's sad to see, him pass away when he did. But I don't want to make it a sad video because, like I said, I'm really proud. If nobody else is proud of what my granddad has done over his years, I'm proud of him. I'm proud that he was able to go to the military and come out, who he is. I'm glad that he was able to be a cab driver in New York for some time. I'm glad he was able to, work in the hospital in New York when he did. I'm glad of him being able to move and being able to get the kind of car that he wanted and being able to dress how he wanted and being able to just be him, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what really inspired me, is that he was just himself. He didn't need to be anybody else. He didn't need to hang with anybody else to be like them. He was simply him. And you could just tell that by speaking to him, that was the energy that he carried off. And that, I think, right there really made me and molded me into the person that I am now. Being able to be unique and be yourself. I think that's a very important key thing of life to learn. Is to just be yourself. Just have your own vibe. And I remember one time, I was down in Atlanta, Georgia with him. Well, Stockbridge, Georgia, because that's where he stayed. And there was an incident. One day we were out and about or whatnot, running some errands, and we stopped at a gas station. One thing about my granddad, he always kept these gas cards. So he had a gas card for Shell and a gas card for Texaco, I think that's what it was called. And so I think we stopped at a Texaco station. So I'm in the car, waiting, just chilling or whatever. He asked me did you want anything out of the store? I was like, no, I'm good. So I'm waiting, I'm like, okay, I wonder when he's coming out to get the gas. Well, it turns out that one of the clerk in the store got very smart with him. And one thing about my granddad, if you push him to the level that you shouldn't take him to, he'll fuss you out. And that's pretty much what happened. He cussed out the clerk. And, he just came back to the car. And what's funny is, when we were about to leave, a police car had pulled up. And the officer asked, is there a problem? And my granddad was like, no, there's no problem. So I was so confused. So I asked him, like, okay, what happened? Like, you were in there for quite a long time. And so he told me that the clerk in the store, said something about his card, and he was basically like talking down to him, like, you know how some people are when they work, they just talk down to people. And so my granddad said, I just cussed him out. And I said, alrighty then. And that was that. That's always for me, a funny story because, like I said, my granddad, he was just that kind of person. He's nice and he's willing to help you and willing to encourage you. But if you go on his bad side, he's gonna let you know, like, how you made him feel. Um, and one of the things that he would always say to me, because I would always used to say, I can't do this, I can't do that. And he would tell me, don't ever say you can't. Don't say you can't do something. Um, and those words even now resonate with me. So now I can't isn't in my dictionary anymore because of, those words. Um, Man, I'm not gonna get emotional, but I'll just say that again, I'm very proud of everything that he has contributed to into my life, into my family's life, into other people's lives. Um, One of the things that I will always hold near and dear to me is that my granddad, he loved jazz. He loved listening to Ella Fitzgerald. He loved listening to Duke Ellington. He loved listening to a lot of like modern jazz. I remember being at his house, and we would actually work out to, because he had a workout room in his house, and we would actually like work out to like this 24-hour jazz station that he would have on his computer. And it was cool. It got me into jazz. I mean, when I was younger, like, I always remember jazz music because when he would used to come down, he would always have jazz playing in his car, or he would have the OJs or Mid Condition. Because if you, I really have not talked about this, but I actually have a famous cousin, I guess you could say. I really don't talk about it because I don't know. I just don't talk about it. But yeah, I have a famous cousin. His name is Kerry Lewis, by the way, and he was one of the members in New Edition. I meant not New Edition, Mid Condition. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's the whole thing, and he used to tell me stories about that. And yeah, he was just like, a lot of the music taste that I have now comes from my granddad. Like, at first, I wouldn't say that I was a fan of jazz. Like, I rocked with it. But I think like after a while, and this is gonna be a crazy parallel, this is where Cuphead kind of came into bringing back an interest in jazz for me. Listening to the Cuphead soundtrack, it was very jazz oriented. It's very jazz, and like I said, my granddad, he like really loved jazz music. So I think that's where my love for jazz came in, because it reminds me of him. It reminds me of my granddad. Every time I listen to the Cuphead soundtrack, every time I listen to jazz music, I just wander off and like think about my granddad. Like, what is he doing right now? I know he's probably right now up there with listening to Luther Vandross, listening to Ella Fitzgerald, listening to all the jazz musicians up there, and he's just having a good time. Like, I know that's the case, because that's the kind of guy he was. He just really tried to make the best out of his life and just enjoy life as much as he could. And that's another thing that really, like, I admired about him. It was the little things for him. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about trying to benefit someone else. For him, it was about just spending time and being able to just be in that moment and just enjoy that vibe. Sitting in the car, singing the Commodores, being at the, maybe we didn't go in the bowling alley, but just standing there with him and just talking, sitting there in the car, chilling, eating Chick-fil-A, like, just little moments like that I will always remember, because it's the small things for me, it's the little things for me that carry a whole lot of weight that I'll always remember for the rest of my life. And I had a lot of those meaningful moments with him. and I'll go in and I'll say, there was a time after where I didn't talk to him. There was a whole thing. I think at that moment what happened was that, he was going through some things and I was going through some things. I was going through growing pains, and he was going through, stuff that he was going through, and we kind of had an argument, and it kind of led me to coming back here. I was going to stay in Georgia a little bit longer, but something came up and it didn't work out, and for that I apologize. I hate that happened, but it's the past, and you can't let the past consume your entire life, and I'm trying to learn not to do that anymore. I don't want to hold myself guilty as charged for the rest of my life, and don't hold yourself guilty as charged for the rest of your life for mistakes that you make throughout your life, because we all make mistakes. We're human. It happens, and it's just being able to move on from it and progress from it and learning from it and being a better person. I think that's what it comes down to. And he was supposed to come to my graduation. It didn't work out. Something had happened. Something came up, so he didn't show up. So the last time I talked to him, from what I remember, I was in the car with my mom and my sister. I was staying with them at the time still. And I had just graduated. And, he was like on the phone. He said, hey, the next time you want to come down to Georgia, let me know, and I'll be glad to come, pick you up or whatever. And I said, for sure, that'd be cool. And what was that? Maybe July or August when he said that. And then about a month later, he passed away. He passed away on Labor Day, and it was just a very eerie day, because waking up that day, I had already felt like the vibe was just eerie, like something happened. And then when my mom was emotional and she told me, I was just numb, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't cry at that moment. I couldn't get upset. I couldn't do anything. I was just numb, because I'm just like, this cannot be true. I don't think this is true. I don't believe it. And after a while, I went through a whole grieving process. And that led to a lot of, shutting a whole lot of people out and just not really wanting to talk to people anymore because of grieving. I was grieving a lot. And the thing is, a lot of people don't talk about grief takes on many forms. For some people, it may be crying. For some people, it may not be talking to people. For some people, it may not just be doing anything. And when it comes to grief, it's really hard to try to manage, how to assess the situation and say, okay, this has happened. This is in the past. If my granddad was here right now, he wouldn't, want me to feel this way. But when you love somebody, when someone has inspired you, and it could be anybody, it could be your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, a friend, it could be a celebrity that you looked up to, it could be anybody. When you have a love or an inspiration for someone, when they've helped you through things, the good, the bad, and the ugly of your life, you just want to be able to still have that person. You want that person to be able to live forever. But the sad reality is, we all don't get a chance to live forever. It's not our choice. It's not our judgment to say who should live and who should not. Even though we may feel like maybe, some people who do bad things should have been replaced with the person that I love, and maybe we could feel that way. But again, it's not our choice and our judgment. And I had to learn that. Even now, I still have my grieving moments, but I'm trying to get better at it, because I know things will get better, and I know that right now, he's proud of me. I know that my granddad is proud of me. Even after, graduating, starting a YouTube channel, doing all the things that I've done out my life, I know that he's proud of me, and I want him to know that I'm proud of him, because again, if it wasn't for the talks that me and him have had, if it wasn't for you know, the times that we spend together, the moments. I don't know really if I would really be here right now, to be honest with you. Like, he really had that much impact on me as a person. And I'm not gonna say here, you know, my granddad, he has his flaws. You know, he had his flaws, he had his moments. But again, that, like I said, that's human, you know. We all are going to have our moments, our good moments and our bad moments. For some people, you know. But for me, I know what kind of person he was. I knew what kind of person he was. And I'm just, again, I'm proud of him for everything. And I just want to tell him, you know, happy birthday. If you hear me, I'm proud of you. If you hear me, I'm not gonna forget what you've done, the impact that you've made on my life. And yeah, like, I love you. I do. And I just hope that you're having a good time wherever you are. Not gonna get emotional. Okay, but yeah, that's the video. Right now, if you can right now, let me know down in the comments below if you have somebody that you looked up to. Tell me like a good memory you've had with them. You know, how did they inspire you? How did they impact you in a positive way? I just want to see like positive love, and you know, right now from just hearing your stories, because I think stories, you know, a lot of people don't really realize that we do have a lot of similar situations. We all do have a lot of similar reoccurrences when it comes to grief and when it comes to remembering a person that meant a lot to us. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just, like I said, I'm proud of my granddad. I love you and happy birthday.